The stars of late model racing have gathered for a friendly round of beating and banging and bumping and grinding that'll make your world spin. It's North Carolina's Freddie Query that sits on the top of the point standings after 4 races. But there is an entire field looking to dethrone Fast Freddie.
Don't go away. Hooters Cup Racing, it's next. It's race time.
Nestled in the scenic North Carolina countryside, not far from the Virginia border, is a great little 3/8 of a mile oval called Orange County Speedway, and today it is host to the Hooters Cup Series. And today it's the Cape Canaveral 200. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick DeBrule. So far, the Hooters Cup Series really has been dominated by one guy. The guy in this car right here. His name is Freddie Query. So far, he won 2 races. He's got a 3rd and a 4th. He's qualified on the pole for this weekend. And Freddie, you were saying the pole's really important. Why?
Well, it's real important, especially at a racetrack like this, because there's going to be some accidents at the first of the race, and hopefully starting up here, you know, we'll be able to avoid them until we can get this thing going.
All right, Freddie Query on the pole, which is exactly where he wants to be. He's got 2 challengers, 2 outsiders to think about. The first is a guy by the name of Scott Riggs. Scott Riggs is a local boy. Won, in fact, on this track just last week. He's driving a car he's not familiar with, but I got news for you. He's driving it very well. He's qualified 3rd. The other outsider, spoiler if you will, is the guy in this car, Matt Kenseth. Matt finished 3rd in the series last year. In fact, he had a victory last year. This year, he's moved up to ASA. But we were just talking earlier, and you're saying even though you're not a regular in this series, you're no less intense to try to go for that victory.
Yeah, we have a really good race car here. Jeff did a really good job getting this thing dialed in. We've been really good since we unloaded, so what we want to do is keep this AFCO Racing Products Chevrolet up front all day.
And Matt Kenseth is in the perfect position to do it, starting in 2nd place, right beside Freddie Query. Now it's time to turn over the 2 guys who are going to be your hosts for this whole program, Ray Dunlap and Larry Rice.
Today, it's the 5th event of the 1997 Hooters Cup racing season. We've seen 3 different winners in the first 4 races of 1997, but I'll tell you what, Larry Rice, to win at this racetrack, you really got to be good.
Well, this racetrack has a lot of history. It's been around here a long time. It's only 3/8 of a mile. It's very close, very tight. They do a lot of testing here for some of the other divisions, and believe me, if you earn a victory here, you've earned a victory.
Well, we've seen the Busch Grand National division at this racetrack, and there was a lot of bumping and banging. We'll see if that's the case today in the Hooters Cup Series. Now let's take a look at the starting lineup. Well, the driver who won the first 2 races of 1997 on the pole again today, and Larry, a very fast lap around this track.
Really quick. You know, over 1/2 mile an hour faster than second quick, which is almost unheard of on a track of this size.
Well, Rick DeBrule talked to Freddie Query and Matt Kenseth. The local favorite, Scott Riggs, in number 62, starting on the inside of the 2nd row, along with Marty Lindley. Mike Garvey in the Coors Light entry, number 40, will go off beside Mario Goslin in car number 10. Row 4 has the rookie Scott Wimmer in number 25 and Edgerton, Wisconsin's Rich Bickle in the Terminal Trucking number 45.
Yes, it's a very, very tight field. The top 20 cars all within about 35/100ths of a second. As you take a look here at the actual times around there, they're very, very close, especially the top 20 cars. And you see some of the big guys. Bigley Jr., he's 21st.
Yeah, Ronnie Burkett down there in 20th. Scott Baker in car number 4 will start 22nd. As we move down through the lineup there, you can see your favorite driver, and Lee Raymond will take on the back of the field in 31st starting position. Raymond, of course, from Dayton, Ohio in car number 67. There's a look at the beautiful Orange County Speedway pace car as the field is now lined up 2 by 2 on this tricky little 3/8 mile. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule will be down in the pits today. Glad to have you with us for the 5th event of 1997 in the USAR Hooters Cup Series. These are late model race cars, and folks, we're in for a great show today, if qualifying is any indication of what will be coming up.
Yes, they've done a terrific job. These guys are all well prepared for this racetrack. It's a racetrack that most of these guys are used to running, this type of racetrack.
And we talked to a few of the drivers before the show tonight and asked them, what should we expect in today's Cape Canaveral 200?
It's a tight little racetrack. You can run around the top. A good 2-lane racetrack. You can pass on the outside, pass on the inside.
You want to run 2 or 3 laps 3 wide, but if you got to make a quick move on somebody, you can get by them doing that.
Well, I say, you know, you can run around here 2 wide pretty comfortably. A lot of high-quality drivers in this series here, and makes for that kind of racing. But the ones that said it's a 3-lane racetrack, I'd like to know who they were, because they're going to be a wreck if anybody tries to go around here 3 wide.
Well, Larry, it sounds to me like some of the drivers have a bit of a different opinion of how today's race will shake out.
Well, he's not real happy with anybody who wants to go 3 wide, that's for sure. But I'm going to tell you, this is a tight little racetrack, and I tend to agree. If you have to go up there, you don't want to go up there and stay for more than one corner, but you might be able to, especially in lap traffic, pull off a move like that.
Well, we're taking a look at from some of our in-car cameras that'll be bringing you action today here at Orange County.
Well, I got to tell you guys, it's been a busy afternoon for Scott Wimmer and his team. They had a ball joint go out during the practice session just before the race. They have been working feverishly to get that done. In fact, he was the last car to pull out to get ready for the start of this race.
Well, thank you, Rick. Scott Wimmer in the McDonald's entry. He's from Wausau, Wisconsin, and he'll start 7th, Larry. A very good thing that they found that in that practice, though.
Well, that's exactly right. He's the fastest rookie that we have out here today, and I'll tell you, you know, you break something like that in a race, man, it ruins your day in a real hurry.
Well, you get out to the concrete wall real fast on a little 3/8 mile racetrack like the one that you're about to watch today's race from. Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina, ready to go racing for event number 5, and Freddie Query again on the pole. Boy, we've seen a lot of that car number 8 so far this season.
He's done a terrific job. He's having a really great season so far, and I'm sure he thinks that he can keep it up all year long, and some of the guys behind him are hoping he can.
2 by 2 coming out of turn 4. Dick Westfall gives him the green flag, and we're underway with 200 racing laps. And Freddie Query gets out to a quick start. The car's starting to go single file. Matt Kenseth drops into 2nd place there. And looks like they're going to kind of ease into the start of today's race.
Well, of course, it rained out last night's race. It was supposed to run last night. It rained very heavily here, so they had to reschedule it for today. That did 2 things. It washed all the green off the racetrack, all the rubber off the racetrack, made it a green track. Plus, they did not have but 15 minutes to practice this morning, so everybody's going to feel out things just a little bit because they're not exactly sure how the race car is set up.
Well, that's probably a real good move for all these drivers due to the fact that it is 200 laps around here. And it's a long ways to the finish of this Cape Canaveral 200 today. So you want to get your car set up, make sure how she's running. A couple of cars still going 2 by 2 back here in the middle of the pack, but the front 15 cars have now moved into single file position.
Yeah, you know, everybody says you can't win the race on the first lap. Boy, you can gain a lot of spots. And every one of these guys used their head on that. It was a good, clean start for everybody. Nobody got in any trouble. And that's not always the case, especially on a little short track like this.
Query now moving out to a 6 or 7 car length lead over Matt Kenseth. Of course, Rick DeBrule told us earlier at the start of the show that Matt Kenseth's running a good bit of ASA racing, and those type of races are very similar to what they're doing here in the Hooters Cup.
Exactly, and this racetrack's got whoa, we got a little bump right there. That's Scott Baker that got sideways almost into the fence. He just got tapped just a little bit. So it does show you that, man, you don't want to get above the black groove. You can see the real black groove. Above that, there's a lot of marbles. You don't want to get up there.
Today's running of the Cape Canaveral 200 is brought to you by Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. And by Jackaroo Barbecue Sauce. If you've got regular barbecue sauce, you ain't got Jack. And by Naturally Fresh Pure Spring Mountain Water. It's delightfully refreshing.
We got a great race going on in the back. And there again, you see Scott Baker getting a little bit sideways. Now he's on the bottom side of the racetrack. I think maybe he's got some problems with the tires already.
I'll tell you, Larry, one of the things that I really like about this Hooters Cup Racing Series, drivers come from all over the country to compete in this series for a lot of reasons. Number one, you heard Freddie Query talk about at the top of the show about how many talented drivers are out there. So you're racing against some of the best in short track racing from all across the country. A guy like Scott Baker comes out of Ohio. He's run a lot of different racetracks at Midvale and Lorain County and Columbus Motor Speedway. An Ohio outstanding driver. He comes down here, he gets in the midst of some of these guys, and I'll tell you what, he's really got to work hard to be a good racer in this division.
Well, that's because the best of all worlds come here. You know, you've got the champions from the Southeast. It is a heavily Southeast, Upper Midwest series as far as the drivers go, but those are 2 of the real hotbeds for pavement racing and stock car racing in the country.
And we've talked about all the drivers coming down from Wisconsin, people like Rich Bickle and Matt Kenseth. Some of the really good drivers from up in the Northwest come down here to the South because they want to go Hooters Cup racing. Well, I'll tell you what, today it's been all Freddie Query up front. He is at it again out front here at Orange County.
He is proving that qualification lap was not just a myth. You know, it's something he's worked on. He's got that race car set up very well. Now then he's coming up on some lap traffic, though. We're going to see how well he can work the traffic. And if he's as good in the traffic as he has been out there by himself, then everybody else better get their notches turned up one notch.
Well, Mike Garvey in car number 40 is trying to chase him down there in the Coors Light entry, moving up now on Matt Kenseth in number 68. That's the white and blue car there. So Garvey up in third position, putting some pressure there on Kenseth. You know, we talked about Freddie Query being up front. He's led 297 laps in 2 races so far this season. We've only run 4 of them, and he leads all time so far this year in being up front.
Well, he's done a great job. But right now, I'll tell you what, Mike Garvey is really working on Kenseth. He's trying to find a way to get around him. He's trying to use the lap traffic. They caught the last traffic just wrong. But right now, he's toward the bottom of the racetrack, though. Can't get by him.
Garvey goes to the inside of Kenseth, but again, as you said, that lap traffic going to hold him up a little bit. Here goes Garvey, takes a look to the inside, down the back straightaway. He's going to have to wait as they get ready to go by car number 2, David Jude.
And David Jude caused Kenseth to get a little bit high on the racetrack. Garvey's going to try to split him as they go through this corner. He's the guy that said he could run 3 wide. He got a little bump there from Kenseth, or he bumped Kenseth one way or the other, but he did make it work. He said that could happen, and he just showed us that it can.
You don't want to do that all day long, but it will definitely work for you. Mike Garvey just proved it right there as he goes around Matt Kenseth and takes over second position. Freddie Query now working on some lap traffic. Just got around Tim Olson there in car number 79. And oh, we've got a car spun on the front straightaway.
Yeah, you can see a car sitting down on there. Couldn't tell exactly who it was from that shot, but everybody slowing down, trying to get back in line, trying to catch up with the leaders now.
It looks to me like that might be Bill Plemons down there. The car sitting, yep, there he is, number 15. Bill Plemons Jr. has spun, and it appeared he did that all by himself.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be any damage. He's got the car running. He's just trying to find a place in traffic to get turned around and back in line, and hopefully he doesn't want to lose a lap, but I think he might have.
Well, this might be a good break for Garvey and Kenseth and a few of those drivers in the top 10 right now to close back up on Freddie Query.
Well, Query's right now, you know, looks to be dominant in this race, but it's a long way to go, a lot of laps to go. A lot of these guys might just be sitting back there saving their tires. This racetrack has got some bank to it. It can be tough on tires if you're not a little bit conscious of it, so they may be just taking it a little bit easy. Obviously, the guy who isn't taking it easy is Garvey. We're going to see now if he can keep up with Query.
Well, Garvey's car is fast. Another car we saw on the racetrack that's running very fast is Dick Anderson. And his car owner is in the pits. And earlier, Rick DeBrule caught up with the former Boston Red Sox star and asked him, why did you get involved in motorsports?
Well, I think just the love of the sport. It's the fastest growing sport out there, and being involved in sports my whole life, just watching what racing was doing and the fan support, I got pretty excited about it too.
Why stock car racing?
I just think it's the ultimate racing. You know the old saying, if you ain't bumping, you ain't racing. And I just think it's a great sport. You know, I got some good friends running Winston Cup and Busch Grand National, guys like Todd Bodine and Randy LaJoy. And Randy LaJoy actually worked on my cars for a while he was out there struggling. And just got some great friends out there. And it's a great sport because you get to touch the people a little bit more than you do as a baseball player or football player. And I think it's great for the fans. And I'm kind of a big fan.
You know, we were talking a moment ago, and there's a lot of big-name sports guys who've gotten into racing recently. You were there before them.
Yeah, that's kind of my claim to fame is, you know, we've been doing this for 8 years, and guys like Joe Gibbs and guys like that kind of came after me, and they've had tremendous success. So I'm looking forward to hopefully taking this Castrol team to a Busch Grand National or Winston Cup level and having some of that success with them.
How different or how similar can you make the comparisons between baseball and racing?
Well, I think it's a lot similar. It's a team effort. It's not one guy. You really have to work together. It's a great family, all the race car teams, and I think all the baseball players are the same way. And the competitiveness is just really unbelievable. I mean, if you're not ready and prepared fully when you get here, you're going to go home and you're going to miss the show. And baseball's kind of the same way. If you're not prepared and ready when the season's over, you're not going to be in those playoffs. So I kind of find it real similar. And my saying is, you know, I can't afford to own a baseball team or a football team, but I can own a race team and still have a part of that competition when I'm done playing.
And I was going to say, what's the goal here? I mean, you're still, you know, splitting time between baseball and racing.
Well, my goal is really to take a company like Castrol and prove to them that circle track racing is where they need to spend some of their dollars too. I think it has a great fan support, and you know, if we could show Castro or you know, that they belong here and that we need them here, and racing needs them here, the fans support it, then I think you're succeeded at something. You know, winning races is great, but we just like to compete, and if you're competing up front consistently, then it's great.
How hard is it when you got a team going here and you're on the road, you know, in Toronto or wherever it may be?
Well, I think it's fun. It occupies my mind. You know, we spend a lot of times in hotel rooms and calling up the guys, you know, 12 o'clock at night, the race car shop when they're about ready to leave. It's just fun and exciting for me. I catch some of the races. I get tapes sent over to me, to watch the races, so I watch all the races, but sometimes I have to watch them on tape. And now having you guys, ESPN, involved, that makes it even easier for me because it's easier to tape the races and makes it nice.
Let's talk about today's race. What's your job going to be?
I'm on a spot today for Dickie Anderson, which is really a lot of pressure for me. You know, he's one of the winningest late model drivers in the country, and he happens to drive for us, and me spotting for him puts a little pressure on me, and I like that.
How do you learn how to spot? I mean, you know, once again, you're a baseball guy. How do you learn how to do this?
Well, I think watching a lot of races. Yeah, you know, we've been doing this for 8 years, and just being around people and watching them do it, and having a guy like Dickie help me along too. You know, he's raced so many years, over 30 years, and won so many races. He'll let you know if you're not doing it right.
Well, and a couple other guys involved in motorsports, people like Joe Gibbs, Joe Montana, some pretty big stars involved in this game.
There certainly are, as we see there, car number 58, Darrell Brown, heading for the pit area.
Well, Darrell Brown brings the number 58 car in. He's been complaining that there's a vibration on the right side, so they're going to go ahead and change their tires. They have to change 2 tires at some point during this race. It's a mandatory 2-tire pit stop somewhere during the race. But this was not the way they planned to do it. They hadn't wanted to do it this early. Taking a little time with that right rear, getting a little too much time to get it on, but they're going to get him back out so he can go do battle in this race.
Well, quite a few cars setting in the pit area right now as the first service session is underway, and we're going to take a short break here from Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina. Back with more racing in a moment.
Well, welcome back to Orange County Speedway here in Rougemont, North Carolina. It's a Cape Canaveral 200, part of the Hooters Cup Series. They've been in a yellow. Freddie Query still leads. Let's go up to Ray Dunlap and Larry Rice.
Well, thank you, Rick. Ready to go back to racing. It has been a fairly extended caution here. Again, Freddie Query is your leader, and we're ready to go back to racing. Mike Garvey runs second in car number 40, and Matt Kenseth running third.
Yes, they're all now right now trying to position themselves for this restart. You can see that Garvey's hanging back a little bit. He's going to try to get a little bit of a run, try to get a little momentum, and try to beat Query into turn 1, but that's going to be tough to do. Query's awful fast.
Bill Plemons in number 15, very slow down to the inside, so many of the cars are going to have to work their way around him right in the center of turn number 1. We see Rich Bickle has moved up there into the top 5 in the terminal trucking entry, currently running 4th. Query gets off at turn number 4 very, very well, and I'll tell you what, it appears that he's got the car to beat today.
It certainly does. Garvey, I thought, with cool tires, as fast as he was running before that yellow, might have something for him. But right now, Query looks like he's inching ahead, just a half a car length a lap. Boy, I'll tell you, that's, oh, look at this. Garvey hard into the turn 1 wall. Man, he hit that thing a ton. 2
cars involved here. It also is Matt Kenseth. So the front 2, or the second and third place cars, I should say, involved in this crash. And look at this. Mike Garvey is out of his race car, and that is a good sign. He hit that wall very hard.
Well, you can see some sparks flying as he was going into that wall. The thing just didn't turn. It went straight in. Good to see him out walking around, because you can tell just by the look of the damage on that car.
And look here, Larry, you can see the window net is down over there for Matt Kenseth, and he's moving around inside that race car in number 68, so it appears he's okay. Garvey out of the race car, a 2-car crash here, and this was really a hard hit.
Let's see if we can see what happens. He comes off at turn 4. He gets up. He bangs into the wall. He gets into the wall there. He must have broken something. You can see he goes straight into the fence. And Kenseth behind him, evidently, he might have knocked an oil line off. Looked like there might have been some oil on the racetrack. So, man.
This is an in-car shot coming from Bobby Gill. Now, this is not Rich Bickle's car, although the cars look identical. One is 5 and the other is 45. So Gill a little further back in the pack there. But a very, very hard impact from Mike Garvey and Matt Kenseth. Both of them took a pretty hard lick.
Yeah, Kenseth's car didn't look as bad, but you can see he hit the wall way back up the track and slid clear around that. almost coming to stop the same place that Garvey did. But Garvey's crash, boy, looked like he was still under throttle, and man, right into the fence head on. That's a hard hit.
What an unbelievable year it's been for Mike Garvey from Swanee, Georgia, the driver who last year led the second most amount of laps right behind Freddie Query. Had a great season in 1996. He's got 6 career wins, but this year everything has been going bad for Mike Garvey. He has continually gotten worse after each race. He finished 3rd at Lakeland, 4th at Volusia, then clear down in 12th at New Smyrna. Last week at Mobile he was 21st, and it's going to be even worse than that today because that car is definitely unrepairable.
Well, Matt Nesmith, we weren't planning on talking to you this soon. What happened?
Well, I don't know. I just talked to Mike up there. He said he came off the corner wide open, his gas pedal hung, and when he hit the wall, he must have broke something and got grease on the tires. I got grease on the tires and it touched the wall. When it touched the wall, it ripped the brake line off, and no control, just along for the ride. But the AFCO Racing Product Chevrolet was running good, and have to come back and try her again.
Frustrating weekend.
Yeah, it sure is.
Well, Rick, if you can, we'd like you to spin around there and try to get a word from Mike Garvey. Make sure he's okay. He took an awfully hard lick out there.
Okay, Mike, explain to us what happened.
I came out of 4 and I got a little bit high and I brushed the wall. And when I brushed the wall, I don't know if it spun the air cleaner, it stuck the gas pedal wide open. It just went straight down into turn 1. I couldn't turn it. And, well, I tell you what, if things would just turn around, I mean, the Coors Light car was fast. We were good again, but you know, you got to make it to the end, and it just seems like it's one thing after another right now.
It looked scary when it happened. A lot of flame. Were you in the cockpit when you getting that flame?
Yeah, the car's a type. Poor Studebake's a great race car. There's no flames got inside with me, just a lot of smoke, and I just got out, but we tore the car all to pieces.
Now you just need a little luck.
Yeah, we do.
So Mike Garvey and Matt Kenseth both are out of the race early here today. 2 very fast cars. So Bickle will move up to 2nd, then it's Goslin, Riggs, and Anderson. And welcome back to Hooters Cup Racing. It's the Cape Canaveral 200 from Rougemont, North Carolina. We're at the Orange County Speedway. We're under caution for the 3rd time today. Freddie Query continues to be your leader. And Larry, let's take another look at the accident that brought out this caution number 3 here. It was a very, very serious incident. Luckily, both drivers are okay.
Yeah, they are pretty lucky because they both took a heck of a hit, especially Garvey. He hit that thing almost head on. And as you heard him say, it was with full throttle. The throttle locked wide open. He just came off of the corner. Everything seems to be fine. He just gets up and does not touch the wall all that hard, but it obviously did some damage. And right there, once the throttle sticks, boy, there's nothing you can do. And I've been in race cars that has happened, and believe me, it's a scary feeling when that baby's heading there and you can't do a thing about it.
Well, again, the best thing is that both drivers are out of the car and they're okay, but the cars themselves not that okay. Mike Garvey came into this race in 4th position in the Hooters Cup points, so that's going to hurt him a bunch. Of course, Matt Kenseth not a regular runner here, and there goes Bill Clemens back to the pit area.
Yeah, Bill Clemens has had some problems already today, and he's back in the pit area again. That looks like Garvey up there helping him on the right side. Of course, they're teammates, so there's no reason. He's out of the race. He might as well get in there and give a little assistance, and that's what he's doing right now.
Well, Clemens, of course, brought out the first caution as he spun by himself coming down the front straightaway, so maybe Mike Garvey giving him some advice down there of how to run this racetrack. Take a look at the racetrack here at Orange County.
Yes, it's a 3/8 mile racetrack, 12-degree banking in the corner, 7-degree on the straightaways. But what really makes it a nice racetrack is the banking is not straight up. You can run right in the middle of the racetrack. You can see that the groove is right in the middle of the racetrack, and that really helps the drivers. You can run higher or you can run lower, but the real groove is right dead in the center, and that really helps the passing on each end.
You saw on the track map there are 2 pit roads here at Orange County. Of course, the car's only using the front stretch today. Well, Rick DeBrule, what's Mike Garvey up to down there in the pits?
Well, Mike Garvey, you're out of the race, but you're still down here in pit row working because you're with another team, with another car as well.
Yeah, Bill Clemens and I are teammates. He's having some troubles with his window net, so we got to get him back out there. One of us has got to do something today.
Yeah, but you're in there hand-on. You're the guy with the tie-downs putting it together.
That's what we do. I mean, we build our own cars, and we take care of them ourselves.
Well, Larry, again, I think that's one of the things that impresses me about this type of racing. Yeah, they're racing for a lot of money, and the competition's the #1 thing, but these drivers aren't afraid to get a little grease underneath their fingernails.
Well, this is still a series where the driver has to be very involved. Most of these drivers work on the cars. They help the mechanics. They're not on $1 million budgets. They have budgets, but they're not as high as they are in some of the other forms of racing, so they got to do it themselves. And it really helps them. I think in the long run, these kind of guys are the guys that really do well when they move up the ladder.
And I think it would surprise most of you fans if you had any idea how many hours it takes to put one of these race cars together and keep them maintained. Back to Orange County in just a moment. Don't go away. And welcome back to Rougemont, North Carolina for the Cape Canaveral 200 at Orange County Speedway. It's the USAR Hooters Cup Series. Late model racing coming to you here with Freddie Query up front. And I'll tell you what, Larry, he really looks good. But look at the car that's moved up behind him. Now that Garvey and Kenseth are out, here comes Rich Bickle from Edgerton, Wisconsin, and he is a late model specialist.
He certainly is. Again, the restarts line up just like they do it in some of the other series. The lap cars on the inside, the guys on the outside are all guys still on the lead lap. So we'll see now if he can do anything with him. Rich Bickle really is a short track specialist. He's a guy that's really tough on this kind of racetrack. But I'll tell you, Freddie Query just looks awesome here today.
Well, you know, these two drivers have raced with each other a great deal. Of course, Bickle, a former Big Ten champion at Concord Motor Speedway, and so is Freddie Query, and these two have run an awful lot of laps with each other. Oh, one car getting out of shape up there right in front of this driver. That's Jimmy Cope in car number 1, the Miller Lite beer entry, and Cope had to be sitting there saying to himself, I don't know what's about to happen in front of me.
Yeah, Cope's picking his way through. You can see from the in-car that he's trying to find a way. He's running the bottom of the racetrack a little bit more than maybe he'd like to, too far down, but he's picking his way towards the front. Maybe not as quickly as he'd want, but boy, look at the lead that Query's opened up. Really, Bickle's having a heck of a time now with the lap traffic. He got caught behind that lap car, and he's still trying to get around him and get back up to challenging position.
So Freddie Query out front. We have seen a lot of this. Oh, in trouble over in turn number 4 is car number 6. Derek Kelly gets turned around. I'm not sure. Could you see who clipped him there?
Well, it might have been Harold Fair Jr. It looked like it was a white car. It looked like a 71. May be wrong about that, but that looks like who clipped him, tore the rear bumper off, but he obviously wasn't hurt damaged too badly as he got the thing going and back on the racetrack.
Well, now under caution again, and now once, as we've said before, this plays back into Bickle's hands, as maybe he'll be able to get a better restart on Freddie Query. He has not been able to run with him. Query has just been fast as lightning in the early stages here of this 200-lap race. And there goes Bickle taking a duck to the inside. It appears he's going to pit.
Yeah, it certainly does, as they're pulling off that rear bumper. And you can see the fiberglass piece, you know, it's just a piece of fiberglass they've taken off.
Looky here, also the number 1 car, Jimmy Cope, going to the pit. So these two drivers going to take their move early as Query stays out and Bickle goes to the pits along with Jimmy Cope. So these two drivers going to take on some tires. Let's send it now to Rick DeBrule. He'll call the pit stops for these two drivers.
Well, Rich Bickle brings the number 45 car in. They go ahead and start working on the right side, put 2 new tires on. That's all they're going to do for this car. This, once again, is the mandatory 2-tire stop. He's kind of boxed in, though. He's got a crew in front of him before he can get out. Now, he's on his way.
So Cope comes into this race in 3rd place in the points, and Billy Bigley Jr. in 2nd place in the points. And it appears that Bigley is going to come into the pits now. They have dropped down to the inside as the number 6, Derek Kelly, gets back out on the racetrack. And here comes Bigley with that new sponsorship.
These are strategy moves. These guys are trying to gain track positions. They only have to make 1 stop. So by making it early, they hope that when they go back out and everybody else goes in, they'll move to the front of the line.
Billy Bigley goes ahead and brings in the car. They're going to go ahead and put 2 tires on the left side. But as we look up pit row, we can see that Rich Bickle is also going to come in. They're going to go ahead and put 2 more tires back on. So Rich Bickle is going to go back out on this race with 4 fresh tires. Meanwhile, Bigley, they're going to go ahead and put 4 on his as well and send him back out into the race.
Well, Larry, I guess I have to ask you this about, we talked about strategy. What kind of strategy do you think it is that Bigley used by taking on 4 tires?
Well, you know, the new tires are always a little bit faster. Now, the question is, by taking them on this early in the race, is it going to be a big advantage or a big disadvantage near the end of the race? Because they don't want to make another pit stop. The whole idea of coming in this early is get your new tires, go back out, and then when Query goes in at the halfway mark or whatever, he's going to be at the end of the line, you're going to be at the front of the line. Whether that's going to work to their advantage or disadvantage, we don't know until we see how the tires wear near the end of the race.
Well, and a lot of time racing luck can play into your way there, too. Freddie Query might get just an excellent pit stop towards the end. We'll be back with more racing. Don't go away. And welcome back to Rougemont, North Carolina. Lap 47 of the Cape Canaveral 200. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you today's racing. Again, it's the 5th race of the 1997 season. Glad to have you with us here on ESPN2. Ready to go back to racing as Freddie Query leads him down once again, Larry.
And once again, he's going to try to get that tremendous start that he's done so often here today. Every time there's been a yellow, he's jumped away, and nobody's been able to keep up. And it looks like he's going to do the same thing this time around, too.
Lap 51, I'm sorry. We moved ahead a couple laps there, so we're back underway. Looking at Bobby Gill here in the terminal trucking entry. Oh, and Gill slams into the backside of Scott Wimmer.
Man, did he hit him a ton. Scott Wimmer got a little bit sideways. Gill couldn't get stopped in time, and boy, he nailed him a ton. You can see back there, everybody else got caught up. Baker's there, the 70 car, Dwayne Dempsey's caught up in that thing. Most of those guys getting backing up and taking off now, but man, oh man, it sure caught up a lot of cars.
Oh boy, I'll tell you, a lot of cars involved there. Jamie James in car number 02. He'll move back ahead of the cars. Looking at this from down the front straightaway, Wimmer is already sideways. Dempsey gets on the binders, and we see Baker just taps him in the rear, but boy, that was a tough hit.
It was a tough hit. Wimmer just got sideways. He had no place to go. Man, he nailed him a ton. And once they ran into each other, they slid up the racetrack, left no gap up on the top. And that's when Baker and everybody else got caught up on the top side of the racetrack.
Looks like Dwayne Dempsey has some damage to the right front of his car number 70. It appears he may head into the pit area. We see the car number 01 there of Eddie Massengill from Goldsboro, North Carolina, also caught up in that melee. Baker still setting on the front straightaway.
And you can see that he had some damage to that car and could not get it restarted. It looks like the 62 car also caught up in that of Scott Riggs, and he's in the pit area now getting some damage. And earlier we saw Derek Kelly have some damage to the back end. They're in there trying to get a new back end put on that, but tell you what, that's quite a job during the race, try to put all that body work back on.
Well, Discount Auto Parts, a brand new sponsor, and they said, forget it. It's not going to work. We're going to have that prepared a little better the next time. And Derek Kelly back out on the racetrack. Now look at Wimmer's race car. The entire left side of the body has been taken off there. The McDonald's car is headed to the pit area. We'll get an update on him shortly. Again, Freddie Query is your leader, and we're under caution for the 4th time here at Rougemont, North Carolina. Well, now all these cars are heading down to the pit area. Let's check in with Rick DeBrule and see what's going on.
Scott Wimmer brings his car in. You can see just how extensive the bodywork damage is. In this case, you can't do much to replace the bodywork. All you can do is try and tape it all together, so when he goes back out, he can continue to race. But obviously, this wasn't the way Scott Wimmer wanted to do it. He was racing in the top 10. The team had a problem before the race. We talked about that before. A ball joint. They managed to get back out there. A frustrating day for this team.
Well, and Larry, we've talked about the points over and over, and I know it's early in the season, but Gill's another one of those drivers in the top 10 in points. They've got to get that car repaired and get back on the racetrack.
Well, you can see that we're back there behind, working on that car feverishly. Went back on the racetrack now, but there was a lot of damage done to both of those cars. Unfortunately, it's going to hurt their chances dramatically.
Well, in 1997, Bobby Gill has yet to go to victory lane. 2 second-place finishes this year. He had a 2nd place at Lakeland Speedway and also just a week ago at Mobile. So it doesn't appear he's going to victory lane today. Back down to Rick DeBrule.
Bobby Gill goes ahead and brings his car in. This is his 2nd pit stop. Just a moment ago, you can see they tore off pretty much the entire front bodywork. But when he went back out, the right front fender was still flaring off. They brought it back in, tore it off. They're going to tape up what they can, do whatever work they can to make sure there's nothing dangling, nothing dangerous. You see the crew member on the left front tearing a piece of metal off. Do what they can and try and get him back out on the race to continue. There's still a long way to go in this afternoon.
Well, no question about that, Rick. We have not even hit the halfway point yet today in this Cape Canaveral 200. Dwayne Dempsey appears to be behind the wall right now. That's going to be his worst finish of the season. Tough break for that driver, and also Scott Baker on his way behind the wall. So apparently both of those cars out of the race today.
Yeah, they were involved in that thing. Didn't appear to be as much damage to their cars as it was to some of the others, but obviously it was bad enough that they are not going to continue. Meanwhile, Bobby Gill is working very feverishly, trying to get that thing back as he goes into the pit area once again, trying to get it ready to go back on the racetrack and continue in this race.
Welcome back to the Cape Canaveral 200 at Rougemont, North Carolina. Fast Freddie Query won the first 2 events of 1997 in this season. He's out front again, and Rick DeBrule's caught up with his crew chief.
All right, Alex Query, we watched a lot of the leaders come into their pit pit stops whether they wanted to or not. Your guy's still out there. Why?
Well, we kind of figure if we can wait as long as we can have better tires at the end of the race, and that's where we get paid at the end of the race. So we're going to try and have as good a stuff on then as we can.
What's he saying about all these accidents and the condition of the track?
Well, he's just trying to weed his way through it and keep the car good and together, and we'll be there at the end. That's what
Once again, it's a good thing he was out front.
Yeah, it's good to start up front and keeps you out of a lot of this mess.
Well, Larry, with all the pit stops, we need to give a call to a couple of drivers that have moved their way up in the field now. Mario Goslin there in the Jackaroo car, number 10, and here comes Dick Anderson in the number 92.
Yeah, both of those guys who started pretty deep in the field, well, not real deep in the field, but halfway back, now moved up into the second and third. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep up with Query, because Query up until now has gotten a big jump on the restarts. This time it doesn't appear that he has.
And once again, tire management is going to be a big factor in today's race as Freddie Query has decided to stay out. Rick just talked with Alex, and Alex said, hey, we want those fresh tires towards the end of the race, and that may be a good strategy.
Well, that's the two different strategies of the race. You know, one was to get in early, thinking that the tires were not going to be a big difference, so that at the end of the race, when Query goes in, he's going to be back in probably 6th, 7th, 8th place, and you'll be in a better track position. The other theory is that the tires are going to make a big difference, so even though you're 7th or 8th in track position, they're going to be enough faster to get you right back up front. That's what Freddie Query's banking on. And you can see right now the lap car, that 58 car of Darrell Brown, he has made a pit stop. He does have new tires on, and you can see that he's very quick. He's one of the 2 fastest race cars out there right now.
He's racing with Freddie, no question about that. Of course, Darrell Brown's been to victory lane in 1997. He won at New Smyrna Speedway in the 3rd event of this Hooters Cup Racing Championship. So Darrell Brown knows how to get there. He's got a fast race car now, but again, as you said, he is a lap down.
Right, he got caught up in earlier in the race when he wasn't quite so quick. He got lapped, so now that he's trying to get that lap back, if he gets back around Query, a yellow flag comes out, he falls to the tail end of that lead lap, and that's important as Anderson now on the outside of Goslin looks like he may have a pass pulled off.
Dick Anderson making a move on the outside, and as Mike Garvey told us at the head of the show, you can race 2 wide here, no question about it, and Anderson's doing that, showing the way to Goslin. Now here's Harold Fair Jr. on the outside of Rich Bickle. We saw Fair was involved in that accident earlier with Derek Kelly, but it doesn't appear to have hurt his race car any.
No, he seems to be running very good. Anderson, they race side by side for almost 2 laps, and Anderson pulls out in front now, but look at Bickle. He's back on the move, too. He's moving up through the field.
Dick Anderson, $182,000 won in his career racing in this series. He is one of the men to be reckoned with, no doubt about it. So far in 1997, though, we haven't seen him strut his stuff like he has done in the past. Back in 1996, he won 5 races in this division, winning at Toledo. I know he also won at Huntsville and right here at Orange County.
Right, now we're taking a look at the lead cars. That's Freddie Query. He's leading the race. And, of course, the Brown in that second car is a lap down, but he's so fast he's keeping up with him. But look at this. Bickle on the inside. He's been trying to get around Ronnie Burkett for a couple of laps. Burkett was holding him off. He's running a very good race. But once Bickle got on the inside, he moved him up the racetrack just enough to give himself that groove on the inside and went right on around.
Whoa, and a little contact there as Jimmy Cope moves up to the back of Ronnie Burkett. Put the bumper right on him that time. And, of course, Jimmy Cope was very fast at Mobile just a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if he can move his way up into the field. Now, here goes Harold Fair Jr. on the outside, number 71 there, making a move by Tony Walls in number 81. And Harold Fair, one of those cars that we thought might have had some damage earlier, but evidently not.
Right, and they've been running side by side now for almost a whole lap, and both of them running a different, in their own grooves, and both of them equally as fast. Meanwhile, back there behind them, that's the 28 car of Bill Bigley Jr., and he's trying to get around them, but they're taking up the whole racetrack.
And you know what, Larry, again, I think we need to mention brand new sponsorship for Bigley in number 28. Budweiser coming on board for the rest of the year for Billy Bigley, and they're going to compete against this guy right here, Jimmy Cope in the Miller Lite car. They saw him win that race down at Mobile, got a lot of TV time. Ooh, a little contact there as Cope makes a bump on the left rear of Burkett.
Yes, and if he keeps doing that kind of bumping, he's going to get a lot more TV time. Maybe not kind he wants, but it's a dangerous tap like that. It doesn't look very significant, doesn't look like much, but it's very easy to puncture a right front tire when you run into a guy like that. It doesn't appear that he's done that, at least so far it doesn't. But boy, when you make contact with either one of those front tires, well, any of the tires really, you stand the chance of puncturing them, because even though they have fenders, those fenders are flexible. They're fiberglass. They give very easily, and it's very easy to have a flat.
Well, we saw the 62 of Scott Riggs. He had some damage in one of those accidents earlier. There's Derek Kelly continuing around in number 6. And again, it's right back to that points championship chase. Many of these drivers are going to try to get back in the race even when they have damaged cars to get out there and get those precious points.
And Scott Riggs, the local boy in the 62 car, he's down on the inside of Harold Fair Jr., and he seems to be a very fast race car right now. One of the fastest on the racetrack, and he's leaning pretty hard on Harold Fair Jr.
He got a lesson there about the quick way to get around this Orange County Speedway. Riggs knows his way around. Now he makes a move again to the inside of Harold Fair.
Yeah, Fair running a nice line. Riggs just can't quite do it. He's doing it. That's what he's doing. He's doing that on purpose. He's done it twice. That time it worked. He's trying to hit him just hard enough to get him, cause him to get loose. Once the back end gets loose, he's got to get out of the throttle, and it gives Riggs the perfect opportunity to go around him on the inside.
And I watched Fair look out his window net there saying, hey, buddy, what's going on here? Give me a little break, will you?
Well, there's a car that looks all the worse for wear and tear, but, you know, he seems to be pretty fast. I'm surprised with that much body damage. The rear spoiler can't be doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, but he still seems to be pretty fast on the racetrack.
Well, Scott Wimmer in the McDonald's car there in car number 25 having a good run. He has been at the top of the rookie chase here the last couple of weeks. He's had a couple of good runs, and last week at Mobile, his best finish, a 5th place run for Wimmer, and he's back in there trying to chase down some points.
And Rich Bickle going around Mario Gosselin on the outside. He's Bickle, another one of the guys who seems to be extremely fast at this point in the race. Of course, Query's been fast the whole time.
And remember, folks, we talked about some of the drivers that are regulars on this series and some that aren't as we reach lap 84. Oh, trouble on the racetrack as Tim Olson has looped it over there. Number 79 gets sideways coming off of turn number 2.
Yeah, he's got it refired. He's going to get going again, but it did bring out the yellow. They're going to have to all get lined up and get going again, but wasn't any contact. He was a spin all by himself.
So Olson loops it. But I started to say about the drivers, some of them race all the events here. Rich Bickle is one of those drivers that will not be running every event of the season, not chasing the championship. He's driving, of course, for Darrell Waltrip in the Craftsman Truck Series. So Bickle, one of those drivers that just makes a few appearances throughout the year whenever his schedule will allow.
Well, pretty good. He's having a good run here today. I mean, obviously he's got the experience. He knows these race cars. He's doing a nice job. As we see a couple of cars look like they're going to head for the pit area. Anderson and Query both in there. I'm not sure what Anderson's doing. Both of them trying to get in there first, it looks like, but Anderson got to stay in line. He's got to follow Query into the pit area.
Looked like he may have had a few words there for Freddie Query, but you see Anderson's pit is down on the far end, and Query will be clear up at the head end of the pits there. So Freddie Query now, as we approach the halfway point of this race today in the Cape Canaveral 200, is headed to the pit area along with Dick Anderson. And now let's go down to our pit reporter, Rick DeBrule.
Freddie Query brings a car in. The team goes to work on the right side, giving them right side tires. They put in a little fuel and they send them back out on their way. It's a busy time right now in pit lane. In fact, a lot of the guys who said they weren't going to be pitting have.
And we'll be back with more racing after a word from our sponsors.
Mario Gosselin brings the car in. They've already made their pit stop. Now the concern is apparently they feel they've got a problem with the plug wire, a little bit of a misfire. They're going to go ahead and see what they can do with it, but this is not the way he wanted his afternoon to go. Everything was going just perfectly. Now they're bringing him in. They're going to go ahead and work on trying to get the plug wire reconnected to the distributor. Unfortunately, to do that, they've got to take the air cleaner off. You can see they're putting it back on, but they want to get him back out before this field goes around again.
Well, and again, track position is so important here whenever you get around this racetrack in less than 14 seconds. We're at the Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina. The USAR Hooters Cup Series. We're about ready to have the green flag come out on lap 92. And you know what, Larry, I was a bit surprised to see Freddie Query and Dick Anderson go into the pits before the halfway point.
Well, I was too, because, you know, if you're going to make that commitment to stay out there, it doesn't cost you much more. And Freddie Query was still pretty fast. I mean, he was still as fast as anybody out there. Anderson seemed to be as fast as most of the guys on the racetrack. So if the idea was to have fast tires at the end of the race, you know, it doesn't seem to make much sense now. The other thing is, if you go for a long time without a yellow now, then you might be in trouble. So maybe that was the reasoning on their part, because they didn't want to go to lap 150 or so on the tires that they had on.
Taking a look from onboard Bobby Gill's race car, the Terminal Trucking number 5. Gill going down the back straightaway. Look how close they get to that back wall.
Well, you got to run close to the wall. You got to run close to the other cars. This kind of a racetrack just takes close. You can see right there the two guys that pitted. They're back in around 8th and 9th position right now, and they've got several cars to catch back up. We're going to see now if those new tires really help them all that much or not, because the guys in front of them did not pit.
Well, another reason I was a bit surprised at
Look,
Jimmy
Cope.
Cope. Yeah, he's getting a little bit out of shape coming off the turn, but I was about to say I was a little bit surprised that Query didn't stay out to gain that $1,000 they pay at the halfway. The Royal Purple Lubricants halfway leader pays $1,000, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and they're not that far away from it. Right now, it looks like Bickle, who's you can see is pulled away from the field quite well. He might be picking up that money. Ronnie Burkett running down second. Cope trying to get around him. Those guys doing a heck of a battle. Actually, from second, third, fourth, fifth on back is a pretty good race, but Bickle's pulling away from everybody up front.
Well, Bickle's car is definitely fast. Let's give a call to number 81, Tony Walls from Albertville, Alabama. He's having a good run in that Broad Wheel sponsored car. He's had a couple of good runs here in the last few races. Finished 7th at New Smyrna and a 6th place run at Mobile. He's going to try to better that today, and it looks like he's on course to do that.
Yeah, Rick Bickle has picked up the Royal Purple Lubricants Halfway Leader Award. $1,000 in his pocket. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. He's glad those guys did make a pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bickle out front now, and he is stretching out the lead from the rest of the field. This car really dialed in, and he's having a great run as he heads down into turns 3 and 4. Picked up now about a 15-car length lead on second place.
Yes, and he's done some testing here with his truck and so forth. He's run a lot of laps at this racetrack, and obviously laps in any kind of a race car at any kind of a racetrack helps you. But when you know the racetrack, particular racetrack you're racing at, it helps too. That's why I think Riggs is having such a good run here today.
Well, here comes a move. Freddie Query now sliding it off at turn 4. He took a look there at car number 28, Bigley, to see if he could make a move to the inside, as they're now moving up on car number 62, Scott Riggs, that regular that you talked about, who runs a lot of races here at Orange County. But it wasn't the right time, evidently, for Query to make that move.
Yeah, he got down in there. He got a little loose. You know, the one chance that you take when you change tires, he only took on right side tires. He might not have exactly the same stagger as he had before. Well, if he doesn't, the car might not handle as well. So that's a big chance that you're taking when you change tires.
So Query and Anderson have moved their way back into the top 10 as we take a look at where all the drivers are running. Gill there in the 5 car all the way back in 17th place right now, in a little contact as Cope goes to the inside of Burkett there. Might have been some contact between those two cars. There's a good bit of smoke coming off of Burkett's car.
Yeah, you can see he was back on the hammer. He was really on the throttle trying to save that position, but he was just too far sideways, too far out on the racetrack. And oh, he's not. He's still running side by side, and he did save that. I was talking way through my hat right there, as he did get back on the throttle time, smoke the tires, and pull back in front of Cope. I think what he did is, we were looking from the inside of Cope's car. It looked like he was way low on the racetrack. I think Burkett just got out there, forced him down to the bottom of the racetrack after he got that little bump. He wasn't liking it very much.
He said, if you want to give that pass right here, you're going to have to try a little harder than that. Ronnie Burkett from Longwood, Florida, and he is having a whale of a run today. Had a very disappointing season so far. His best run of the year came in the season opener down at Lakeland. He had a 5th place run there, but he's been in the 20s ever since. So a good run for Burkett, who was 12th in points coming into today's race.
Yeah, Tony Walls back there in that red car, the 3rd car on your screen. He's also doing a nice job. Actually, all those guys in that 2nd through 5th or 6th position running very, very close to each other.
One car going way up the racetrack there is Eddie Massengill in the number 01. Appears his car very, very loose, as Query and Anderson now make their way past Massengill.
Well, now they're coming up on the back of that group of cars that we were just talking to, the 2nd through about 4th or 5th. So now then we're going to see if those new tires are going to help those two guys, or whether they're just going to be able to fall in line and follow Walls and the rest of them.
Well, they just went around Derek Kelly, and about 2 pit stops ago we were talking about they tried to replace that rear end. What happened was the crew members got together and made a big blanket of duct tape, and they have put that piece back on the rear end, but it doesn't appear to make Derek's car much faster. He's having a handful out there today.
Yeah, when you lose the aerodynamics, even on a short track like this, it does make a big difference in the corners. You need that downforce. You need all the aerodynamic forces to work properly to be at your best. It's not going to hurt you as bad as it does on the super speedway, but it still hurts you.
They better call Rich Bickle and tell him there's a race going on back behind him, because he can't see it. Let me tell you what, he is broken away from the field here at Orange County. A very fast race car in the Terminal Trucking number 45.
Yeah, look at back at this battle here, though. That's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, all right there together. Those 3 are running 6th, 5th, and 4th, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and man, they are battling each other. Query seems to be able to run in up high, kind of diamond off the corner down under, but he can't get enough of a run on anybody to beat him into that next corner. There he does it again. In high, kind of diamonds down. He can get his fender up even with the back tire, but not enough to force the guys up the racetrack. Maybe right there he forced him up a little bit. Still couldn't make the pass.
So Dick Anderson running right behind Freddie Query, who's running right behind Bigley, who's right behind Tony Walls. These guys are having a good battle, and here goes Query. He takes a look to the inside. He's going to make that move coming down the back straightaway. A lot of momentum as he comes off that turn, and a little contact.
Well, see, once you get up that far, then you kind of got control of where you're going to run on the racetrack. You can move a guy up the racetrack a couple of feet instead of him moving you down the racetrack, and that's what makes all the difference. But look at this. Bigley's going to go to the back to the bottom, but when he does that, he leaves the outside open, but Anderson couldn't take advantage.
I thought he had the classic Earnhardt slingshot move there as he was going to make that move, but here goes Query now making a move on Tony Walls.
And once you get up that far, once you're at the side of a guy, see how he moved him up? Walls is clear up almost in the gray stuff, and that's because Query was up far enough to make him move over. If he didn't, he was going to run into him, so he had to give him the racetrack. Query did a nice job. He didn't really ever hit him, but he knew that he had to give him the racetrack or he was going to get bumped into.
We talk about bumping and banging all the time, and that's what's going on here at Orange County Speedway. Hope you're enjoying the Hooters Cup racing. Rich Bickle is your leader. Just past the halfway point of the Cape Canaveral 200, coming to you from the Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina. Rick DeBrule, Larry Rice, and yours truly, Ray Dunlap, bringing you today's racing action as Rich Bickle is out front of the field. Take a look at where your favorite driver is running in the field right now. Eddie Massengill back in 15th place. We see Harold Fair there. Scott Wimmer, some damage on McDonald's car. He's back in 18th place right now. But the man on the mission is Freddie Query. He is moving his way back up through this pack.
And so is Anderson. Anderson's following him through the traffic, and those guys both have gained a lot of spots in the last few laps. I think they've got a long way to go, though, to catch up with Bickle. They second, third doesn't seem impossible, but boy, first right now with Bickle running as fast as he is seems pretty hard.
Folks, if you just joined us back on lap 27, Mike Garvey and Matt Kenseth made very hard contact on the turn 1 wall as Garvey got the car loose, banged into the wall, and evidently his throttle hung open, went into the wall, so those two drivers are out. And once again, Mike Garvey, a points contender, out of the race very early today here at Orange County.
The 15 car, Bill Clemens Jr. now seems to be running pretty quick after some trouble earlier in the night. There you see Bickle. He's into lap traffic. He's really on a mission and getting around guys very, very easily.
You know, give a call to Jamie James at Rich Bickle just moved around there in car number 02. Again, he's a former motorcycle racer and just getting the hang of what this short track stock car racing is all about, and he's among some of the best out there today.
Right, Derek Kelly, the 6 car, obviously a lot of damage to his car. He's down on the inside. The 96 car, Jack Cook, another one of those cars out there that's being lapped. He's got a very nice looking race car, obviously not running quite as fast today as he'd like.
Also, Scott Baker and Dwayne Dempsey out of the race early today. One driver that's having a great run today is Ronnie Burkett. And Rick DeBrule is standing by with his crew chief.
Ron Burkett Sr., Ronnie's dad. Is he talking much on the radio?
No, not too much. Right now he's saying the car feels really good. He was taking some pressure from Jimmy Cope after that restart, but it looks like the car just leveled out good, and he's able to actually pull away from Cope. We did it early. Russ Light Sr., who is my partner in this operation, he advised us to pit early, and we did, and it's working great.
Well, thank you, Rick. We see some debris over in turn number 1 there, but Larry, it appears that it's pretty far up out of the groove.
Yeah, I think that's been the determination, that it's far enough out of the groove that it shouldn't be a problem, and they've not gone yellow. So we're going to see what can happen here under green as Rich Bickle continues to lead this thing. I don't think he's any longer pulling away, though. I think the guys, Burkett, some of these guys are just about holding their own back there in second and third, and of course Query is really on the move. And there we see Query right now. He has already caught the cars in second and third position. He's putting a move on Cope.
Here goes Query. He's got a handful coming off of turn number 2, but he makes the move by Jimmy Cope, and he will take the position there. And now he sets his sights on Ronnie Burkett. Well, Freddie Query has been out front for the first 86 laps before Rich Bickle took over at the point. We're going to take another break from Rougemont, North Carolina in the Orange County Speedway. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the USAR Hooters Cup Series. Well, when we left you, we were under green flag racing, but now we're under caution again Evidently, Dick Westfall decided to throw the yellow hanky out there when they saw that debris sitting over in turn 1. And now look at this. Ronnie Burkett's car has come to a stop.
It looks like one of the officials out there looking underneath the car.
Yeah, that's Fritz Augustine, Larry. He is the competition director here in the Hooters Cup Series. And he is looking underneath Burkett's car like maybe he's losing some oil or there's some sort of a problem.
Well, they certainly did an inspection on both ends of the car to make sure there was no problem. Looked like he sent him back out and pointed head back up the front. We'll find out here shortly whether he's going to go back up front or not.
Well, Rich Bickle has been your leader. Freddie Query, of course, led the first big section of today's race. He led the first 86 laps, and then Bickle got up front. And yes, Ronnie Burkett has moved back into second position there. So I'm wondering if maybe Jimmy Cope or one of the other drivers radioed in and said there was some fluid coming out of that race car.
Well, it's very possible. Of course, you know, when you see fluid out there, you're following a guy around, you obviously think he's the one throwing it. Might have been one of the other cars down on the inside of the racetrack. There's no way of telling. But obviously, the officials looked under the car. They saw nothing. They sent him back out. Meanwhile, Walls is in the pit, and he was running right up front. He's making a late pit stop.
Well, lap 142 now. Tony Walls has gone to the pit area there to get his tires. And remember, it was right before the halfway point when Anderson and Freddie Query went into the pit area. So another 40 laps of fresh tires for Tony Walls.
Yes, he's got a good chance. Boy, you see somebody smoking the tires as they went into that first corner.
That was the leader, Bickle.
It certainly was. It looked like he got a little bit sideways trying to beat the lap. Oh, we got two cars, and one of them is Query into the fence. And here comes somebody else, a black car up there, too. All kinds of problems going into turn 1, like there might have been some oil. Well, that's a 62 car of Scott Riggs.
Yeah, so Riggs and Query both spin over in turns 3 and 4. We saw Rich Bickle get on the gas on the restart, smoke the tires a bit, and looks like Query just went around by himself.
Yeah, but I think there's got to be oil because that 0-1 car up there, it also spun, and then right behind him, Riggs spun. So I think when 3 cars all of a sudden all get squirrely at the same time, there must have been something on the racetrack. I can't believe they could all make that kind of a mistake all at the same time.
Well, and look, the officials are right out there taking a look at the track, too, so we'll get a handle on this situation. And here goes Freddie Query moving back up through the field in car number 8.
Yeah, maybe they're going to put him back up in where he was before he spun. That would be kind of, they're looking for oil. They're looking for oil from somebody. Obviously, somebody put some oil on the racetrack.
Well, we'll be back with more racing from Orange County Speedway right after. Welcome back to Rougemont, North Carolina. It has been a caution-filled afternoon here in the Cape Canaveral 200. You're looking at Freddie Query, one of the fastest race cars on the track all day, but he has sustained some damage to the left front. Now let's get an update on what the situation was with Ronnie Burkett's race car.
Fritz Augustine, one of the racetrack officials, you just stopped Ronnie in the front straight. Why? Well, we thought he was losing some oil from somewhere. We wanted to double check, make sure we didn't cause any problems. He's clean, so he gets his spot back.
Yes, he will get his spot back. We see there's Riggs is going to be out of the race. He's out of the race car. I'm going to tell you what, Fritz has the toughest job in automobile racing. When you do it right, nobody notices. When you do it wrong, everybody notices.
Well, Fritz Augustine is the competition director, and he's this week's up-close profile.
I'm going to go down and see the 98 and the 53. They're too close. They're too close on 58. By the time they run this race, we'll have to throw them out. So there's no sense in that. They might as well know it.
Right.
So I'm going to go down and tell them, fix it now.
The board's a problem.
Well, there's no sense in letting them run 200 laps and tell them to go home for nothing. Our primary job is safety. The primary job we got is safety. Then we go into competition. I'm the competition director for the series, but safety's the first thing, then we go into it. And what we do, we check the cars, check the fuel, check the tire, check everything on them to try to keep them on an even, level playing field so everybody got a fair chance. Just send me 98, 15, 81. There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Show you something real fast. 98 was 2800 when he rolled across the first time, 58.2, 2800, 58.1.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a 53, he was 58.1.
All right, thank you. This is all an adult game. They all understand. If they're light, they're light. If they got too much left side, too much left side. If their engine doesn't have the right compression, whatever it is, they understand. They know what's coming. They don't have a problem with it. I got one more crankshaft to get. Okay, you can take it back to your pitch, Gerald. Thank you.
Thank you. That's how much nicer he is on camera.
All right, come on, y'all have a good afternoon.
Well, those guys better be careful next time they go through inspection. 148 laps down here, Larry.
That's one of those tongue-in-cheek things that you say, and you know they mean it, but they got to laugh or they'll be in big trouble.
Well, I'll tell you, every division has a Fritz Augustine, and he's got a very, very tough job. Well, David Jude has gone to the pit area. It appears that maybe car number 2 is out, so attrition becoming a factor this afternoon.
Yeah, this has been a pretty tough race. Bickle, of course, doesn't seem to be having much trouble right now. Burkett running very well. He's done a very, very nice job. In second place, he's run with some really tough guys. He's been challenged several times by Cope, and every time he's been able to withstand it. Query right behind him. It's going to be interesting to see if Query can keep going with that pace he's been going after that spin.
Well, you see there, David Jude was listed in 20th place, and now he has gone to the pit area. So just 19 cars remaining on the racetrack. A lot of really fast cars up front, though, as we get ready to go back to racing here in the Cape Canaveral 200. You see them putting out some speedy dry there on the racetrack, so there was definitely some oil.
Yeah, there was some oil out there, you know, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to soak all that up. Unfortunately, the speedy dry, it's little crystals, it's little balls of material that soaks up the oil, but itself, it can get under the tires and kind of ball up. So if it's right in the middle of the racetrack, sometimes it gets very, very slick, and you have to be careful. Looks like mostly what they put down has been down on the inside of the racetrack and shouldn't be a problem.
So they continue to put the speedy dry down here at Orange County Speedway, and we're going to take one more commercial break. Don't go away. Lots more racing coming your way from North Carolina. Welcome back to Rougemont, North Carolina. Rick DeBrule is standing down in the pit area to give us an update on Scott Riggs.
Well, Jeff Dace got in a great time out there. What happened?
Well, we just blew the engine on the Outlaw Performance Adams Monte Carlo. We had some adversities, and we've come back. We was back to 7th, and I thought there for a while we was going to be in contention because I already had a stop made and go to restart, and he said the oil temperature was a little bit high, and it blew up. So
you can only come back so many times.
That's right. I guess we'll be back next race.
Well, Larry, Riggs, one of the local favorites, doesn't have far to go home, but how about this guy here, Tom Hernley?
Boy, he's got a long way to go up to Lansing, Michigan. And Scott Riggs, he doesn't have far to go, and of course, they just live around the corner here. Tough break for all these guys. We've had a lot of attrition, though, as we take a look at Dwayne Dempsey. Of course, he got involved in that crash very early. The 58 car back there, Darrell Brown, he ran very fast, although he was a lap down there earlier, and now he's out of the race.
And also Matt Kenseth, another one of the drivers out early there in that crash with Garvey. 2 cars that hit the wall very, very hard. And, you know, it has been, well, Lee Raymond there's another car from number 67, also out of the race.
Well, there have been about 4 or 5 guys involved in crashes. The rest of them just been attrition, tires, you know, and engines and so forth. And there's nothing you can do. You're going to have a certain amount. No matter how well you prepare a race car, there are things you just cannot, you know, avoid sometimes. A crash happens in front of you, an engine blows up, those sort of things just happen. But obviously, with all the preparation that they do on these race cars, nobody expects, after hours and hours and hours in those garages, that you're going to have something like that happen.
Well, so far in 1997, only 2 drivers have completed all the laps. That's Freddie Query and Billy Bigley Jr., both of those with a 100% completion ratio. And if you can do that all season long, you've got a good shot at winning the championship.
Well, the old saying is, to finish first you must finish, and that is obviously the name of the game. If you run fast or up front, if you're in the top 5 every race, you're going to win your share of races, and you're also going to win your share of championships. But that consistency and the consistency of being up front, that's the thing everybody strives for.
No doubt about it. Jimmy Cope having a good run today here in the Miller Lite car. Also, Freddie Query has been up front. We have seen Rich Bickle now at the front of the pack in car number 45 as we get ready to go back to racing here at Orange County, North Carolina. The yellow flag continues to wave, and that has been the big picture today.
Yes, it's going to wave again. They're going to have to make one more lap. Bill Clemens in the 15 car trying very desperately to get his lap back so he can get up there and challenge for the lead.
Burkett, Cope, Query, and Anderson in the top 5.
Well, welcome back to Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina. Rich Bickle didn't lead in the beginning, but I tell you, ever since about the halfway point, he has come on strong. Freddie Query, the guy who was leading, well, he's had a bit of an adventurous afternoon. Just had a spin, but guess what? He's still in 4th place. Time now to go up to Ray Dunlap and Larry Rice. Tell how this race is going to go.
Well, thanks, Rick. Great work down there. We're keeping him pretty busy in that pit area. I don't know how this race is going to go, but I know Rich Bickle's still the leader.
Well, he certainly is. He's been doing a great job out front. Actually, he's only the 2nd leader we've had. Once Query went into the pits and he took over, he kind of run away. The guys who have gotten out front had clean racetracks seem to have had an advantage over everybody else. And once they get out there, they don't have any lap traffic to contend with. They've just kind of pulled away. And Bickle, once again, looks like that's going to be the pattern. He has Clemens in between him. Now then we see Cope, though, who has moved into second place. He got around Clemens and is in a position, at least, to go after Rich Bickle.
Well, and Bill Clemens is doing a good job here. He's letting these leaders get away from him. He knows he's a couple laps down, so he's not going to get in the way. There's still a good bit of speedy dry out there on the racetrack. You saw on the first couple of laps a great deal of dust being kicked up. Now Cope takes a look to the inside of Bickle coming off of turn 4. He makes the move down to the inside. Can he make the pass? It appears not this time.
Well, I tell you what, Cope seems to be very fast on the bottom of the racetrack, though, as he stays down there. He's up alongside of Bickle, and Bickle now up in the speedy dry. You can see that speedy dry when he got into it. He had to get out of the throttle, and that enabled Cope to go around. I think that was the case where Cope just was a little bit smarter about where all the speedy dry was on the racetrack, and he ran down out of it.
St. Petersburg, Florida is the home for Jimmy Cope in the Miller Beer Chevrolet. What a year this driver has had. He won the pole at New Smyrna, and he's had 4 top 10 finishes this year, including his win at Mobile just a couple of weeks ago. And here he is late in the race showing his stuff.
He certainly has. He's only the 3rd leader we've had, and I didn't mean to imply that Bickle wasn't doing a good job. It's just that Cope got down in there. He knew that once he got in there, if he could get upside, he could force Bickle up where the speedy dry was, which is exactly what he did, and Bickle had no choice at that point.
You know, we look at the statistics a lot, Larry, and last year in the season title...
Oh, we got somebody up in the wall.
That's Freddie Query.
Freddie Query went in there, just got a little bit sideways, ended up in the fence, and you can see that car shaking around. He's a flat left rear tire.
Oh, I'll tell you what has happened here, Larry, is his right side tires are the ones that are flat, but the rear end has broken loose on the race car, and that's why you see the tire sticking out on the left side there. This could be big trouble for Freddie Query. Evidently, they've broken a track bar or maybe part of the rear end, and he may be out today.
Yeah, I think you're right. The track bars moved that whole rear end over, it looks like, at least 6 inches, and that's going to be big problems. They're going to have to go in and fix that if they can to get him back on the racetrack. Meanwhile, they can't even get the jack under it so they can get the right side tires replaced. The right front definitely is flat.
Query came into this race as the point leader over Billy Bigley Jr., and he had a 102-point lead. This is going to be devastating. Look at this. They're going to try to jack up the car and take a look. Yeah, it is definitely a busted rear end.
Yeah, they've already got the jack stands out there. They're trying to get it up in the air far enough that they can get under there. And boy, look at the wheel. It's already off. It had cement rolling out of it. Boy, they hit the wall a ton.
Yeah, a lot of damage to Freddie Query there. Boy, amazing. I didn't really see exactly what took place there, but it looks like maybe he might have blown a right front tire.
Well, that very well could be. It looked like when we first saw him, he was already up there trying to get the back end into the fence first. Usually if you get the back end in first, it doesn't damage the car as badly. But obviously he hit it a ton with that right rear to move that rear end over that bar.
We have had a lot of cautions today here at Orange County Speedway, and Bobby Gill now is in the pits there in the terminal trucking number 5. He started 14th, was involved in that crash with Scott Wimmer in the early stages of the race, but he has moved back into the top 10, and this is going to be a big benefit for Gill in the points chase.
And it looks like one of those battle wagons out of a war movie, doesn't it, with no bodywork on the front and that bumper sticking out there. He's really done a heck of a job coming back as much as he has.
One of those NASCAR modified. Back to Orange County after this. Welcome back to Rougemont, North Carolina. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you today's Cape Canaveral 200. You know, Larry, I hope I didn't jinx Freddie Query. We had just got talking about how he had completed 100% of the laps this year, and that is certainly not the case today.
Well, certainly won't be. It was a tough break for him because he had run very, very well. I think maybe, you know, who knows whether he had the right strategy or not, but it certainly was a strategy that had worked so well for him so far. As Bickle right there got way up close to the fence, had to get out of the throttle and fall in behind Clemens.
Freddie Query has climbed from his race car, and he's with Rick DeBrule.
Well, Freddie, can we talk about what happened?
Well, it got awful slick out there. Somebody's putting down all. I guess I hit it just right that time. Hit the wall.
How much damage?
A bunch. We're out of it.
Done for the day.
Boy, oh boy, tough break for Freddie Query. He came into this race, Larry, with 4 consecutive top 5 finishes, and this is just going to devastate his points position.
Yeah, it's a tough break, but we heard him say that it was just slick out there. There's a lot of oil. You got to be very, very careful. He got in a little high. I think the oil dry along with the oil up there where he got in the wall just was too much, and it caused him some trouble. Meanwhile, look at Tony Walls. He's really seems to be a fast race car out there right now, and he's running right around the bottom of the racetrack. It looks like the whole groove has moved down since oil has come out. Everybody's running in the bottom black groove and clear down on the bottom instead of up near the top of the racetrack now.
Well, Tony Walls is from Alabama, and he's doing some serious Alabama gang type racing out there as he went to the inside of Billy Bigley. And here comes Mario Goslin in car number 10. He makes a move there in the Jackaroo race car. And now Walls has put his front bumper right up on the rear bumper there of Ronnie Burkett, and he makes the move to the inside in the center of turns 1 and 2. I think he's going to take that position away from Burkett.
Well, he's got a nice place to run down there in that corner where he just runs in across the black stuff, kind of slides up the racetrack, and it seems to stick for him. And every time he does it, he's made a nice move, and he's passing race cars down there in the bottom.
Tony Walls on fire there in car number 81. He is chasing down the leaders, moving up now into the top 5. So he's having a great run this afternoon here at Orange County.
Yes, and now once he gets around, he moves back up in the middle of the racetrack. Matter of fact, he's running just a little bit higher than some of the other guys. So that race car obviously right now really working well. Ooh, we see there Cope getting a little bit sideways as he got off the corner that time. And Bickle right behind him is another one of the guys who's moved down on the racetrack.
Looked a little bit that time like Cope was coming off a dirt track.
Yes,
when he came
did. He was pretty sideways. And, of course, he and Bickle both are the guys that made pit stops very, very early. They made them about 40 or 50 laps. So 150 laps or 120 laps, whatever, on those tires right now might be beginning to show up.
Many of the drivers, Larry, before this race started, told me that they could go the entire distance on one set of tires. But again, there is that mandatory 2-tire stop. And I think that's a good rule. The idea there is that the pit crews have to be an integral part of what you're doing here on the racetrack.
Well, not only that, it adds the strategy into the thing. Is it smart to pit at 40 laps like the first two guys did? Or is it smart to pit at 100 laps or 90 laps like Anderson did? Well, we're going to find out. Really, after about 20 or 25 laps, there should not be a great deal of difference in the tires unless those tires are really getting worn and really, really getting bad.
Well, and again, we're talking about a 3/8 mile racetrack where they're in the turns an awful lot here at this racetrack at Orange County. But a real nice racing groove here at this track today. A lot of exciting action out there. Hope you're enjoying the USAR Hooters Cup Series here on ESPN. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you the racing today. We'll be bringing you 20 events throughout the 1997 racing season, and the next event will be at USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida. That race coming up April 26th. If you're interested in going out and getting yourself some tickets for a great Hooters Cup race, give them a call there at USA International.
And right now, there doesn't seem to be a nickel's worth of difference between those first 3 or 4 cars. Cope is still leading, but I'll tell you what, Bickle has tried low on the racetrack. He's tried high on the racetrack. Anderson right behind him. He's just kind of watching, seeing what the other two guys are doing and not really making a move right now. But I tell you, Cope has got his mirrors full of race cars back there.
39-year-old Jimmy Cope out there. Oh, here comes Marty Lindley into the pit area. He's got a flat right front tire, and that is a really tough break for Lindley. He was doing very well.
And meanwhile, Tony Walls has moved into 3rd place. He's used that little patented move that he's had all day long to get around Anderson. Now then, he's really giving Rich Bickle all he wants. Now he tries that move down on the inside, and he's right beside of Bickle.
Here comes Tony Walls, Albertville, Alabama special. He is really on fire down on the inside of this racetrack. Now look, here goes Cope. He's trying the low groove now. I'm wondering if they've told him that Walls is making a lot of progress on the inside. He's moved up to Bickle. That time he got a little squirrely coming off 4.
Well, obviously they've got, oh, look at this, Bickle. Now the Cope's moved down. He's going to try the outside. Moved right up the side of him, but could not hang on as Cope pulled away. The groove has really changed in this racetrack. It's really made it a great race because it has changed at least twice during this day.
Out front is Jimmy Cope from Florida going to the outside. Edgerton, Wisconsin's Rich Bickle. Alabama's Tony Walls to the inside, and then Dick Anderson running fourth. We've got a great battle here at Rougemont, North Carolina. 2 wide coming out of turn 2. Bickle on the high side, and here comes Dick Anderson. I'll tell you what, if there's any one of this group that I would put my money on, how about Anderson? He's the veteran.
Man, they were 3 wide for a second, not completely side by side, but Walls was clear down on the flat, almost made it 3 wide. I think Anderson is afraid to get up there. He doesn't want to. He certainly can't run 4 wide. Oh, we got cars. Bickle got into the back of Cope. Walls did a nice job not to run over him. And like we said, Anderson sitting back there watching, he gained 2 spots.
Oh, and Tony Walls gets in the back of Bickle that time, and he slows. Tony Walls is going to lose track position here. Rich Bickle gets it straightened out. What an exciting race, and out front it's Jimmy Cope.
Jimmy Cope, all he's had to do is keep the race car straight and make those guys go on one side or the other. He's done exactly what he had to do. He didn't really make the race car all that wide. It's tough on a racetrack like this where there really is 2 grooves. But he's always seemed to find the right groove at the right time to keep him back there. Right now, Anderson's all over him but can't pull off the move. Tony Walls, when he got sideways, must have heated the tires up because he did it 2 corners in a row, and he's going backwards.
48-year-old Dick Anderson from Wildwood, Florida, is putting the pressure on Jimmy Cope there in the Miller Light car. And look at this, Bickle is trying a new line going to the high side. Now a little contact there as Bickle goes to the back of Anderson's car.
Well, see, Bickle moved up there. He got up the side of him. Anderson saw him. He moved up ever so little. Oh, he got into him a little bit getting into the corner there. Anderson did a nice job just hanging on, and Bickle didn't go ahead and shove him on around.
Anderson finished second at Volusia County Speedway this year, but he is yet to go to victory lane. 5 wins in 1996. Can he pull it off? We already saw Jimmy Cope win a race this year just a couple of weeks ago at Mobile Speedway, and he's got a fast race car today here at Orange County. Just 4 laps remaining.
Boy, I tell you what, Cope has done a great job because he has had pressure like crazy for the last 10 or 15 laps.
Yellow flag, Larry. The yellow is out.
Yes, they could see the flagman on the outside of the racetrack waving the yellow flag as they went into the corner.
Here comes the pace car to pick up Jimmy Cope. Now listen, what'll happen here is because the yellow is out inside of 5 laps. Oh, and this is Tony Walls. Look at this. Walls was making a move on Burkett, and then the number 28 of Bigley got into the back of Walls, spun him out in turn number 4, and that's the reason for our yellow. So we are going to have a shootout.
And absolutely nothing Bigley could do about that. When Walls hit him, it was just a chain reaction. Bigley tried to stop, couldn't do it. He just tapped him ever so slightly, but it sent him on around. And you're right, it is a shootout. The last 5 laps have to be run under the green. And I'll tell you what, they should be a pretty exciting 5 laps the way those top 3 guys are running.
The way they've been running, no doubt about it. Now, the guy that really lost in this shuffle the last 15 laps was Tony Walls. He was running up there with those front 4 cars and got a little bit out of shape, and I think he was just trying a bit too hard to get back up front.
That's Ronnie Sanders in the pit area there. He's got some damage to the front of his car. He might have gotten involved somewhere back in that chain reaction.
It looks to me like they have a right front shock broken there on Sanders' car, so another tough break. Hey, the shootout's coming up. Don't go away, folks. Well, hold on to your hats, folks. We're back to Rougemont, North Carolina in the Cape Canaveral 200. You're watching Hooters Cup late model racing here on ESPN. Ray Dunlap, Larry Rice, and Rick DeBrule bringing you the action today, and it has gotten hot here in the last 25 laps of this race. I'll tell you what, Larry, they're going to have their work cut out for them to get around Jimmy Cope.
Well, I tell you, they certainly do. Anderson and Bickle have both been trying very hard. Haven't been able to do it. But I'll tell you what, Billy Bigley right back there, Ronnie Burkett, those guys also were not very far behind this pack, and they could apply some pressure once the tires get cooled off. So it should be a tremendous race here at the end.
Well, now that they've run a few laps under caution, the tires have cooled down a bit, and this restart will even these cars up more than we've seen all day, I believe. Dick Anderson running second in the Castrol race car. Rich Bickle is third. Ronnie Burkett. Then we see Billy Bigley Jr., Mario Goslin. The green flag is out. Here we go. 5 laps to the victory.
You can see that Cope got a little bit squirrely. He got on the throttle pretty hard. Anderson whipped around the top, and Bickle went right to the bottom of the racetrack. Neither one of them gained significantly, though, as they both stick to the same tactic this time. Cope still hangs on.
Bigley fighting it out back there with Burkett for 5th position. Can Anderson make the move on Jimmy Cope? Cope with 1 victory already this year. Freddie Query, a 2-time winner, out of the race. Here comes the last couple of laps. A little sideways goes Jimmy Cope, and Anderson takes a look to the inside. Here comes Dick Anderson.
Anderson seems to be getting faster after the tires got a little warmed up, and so does Bickle. On the other hand, Cope seems to be going a little bit slower, as now Bickle and Anderson are all over him.
Here they come down the front straightaway. The white flag is out. Rich Bickle goes up on Dick Anderson. The 2 cars crash in turn number 1. And Anderson slides down the racetrack. Heavy contact there and a fire on car number 86.
Man, oh man, that was a terrible. That's Marty Lindley who got into him. The big fire. Those 2 guys really hit hard. Lindley came in there much later and really hit him a ton. Fire. That's of course, the fuel cell can only take so much. These fuel cells are pretty crash worthy, but you can see already the drivers are out of their cars. but Marty Lindley hit him a ton.
Oh, and the fire continues there. They have used up all the extinguishers that the crew had over there, and the fire coming out of Dick Anderson's car right now. As they continue to try to put that fire out, we see Anderson is out of the race car, and it appears Marty Lindley is okay too at this point. And now they have that fire under control on the Castrol number 92. Heavy, heavy contact here, as after Anderson spun down off of the wall, Marty Lindley hit him very hard, and here's a replay.
Bickle just went in there, misjudged it a little bit, got up over the left rear, and once they got into the fence, of course, neither one of them have any control. Marty Lindley comes around, absolutely no place to go, and you can see the fuel running out. And once it got back to the engine, the hot engine on Marty Lindley's car, it ignited, and then it just followed it right back up to Dick Anderson's car.
Well, you know what happened there, Larry? I believe Anderson had no brakes in his car after he made contact with that wall. The right front caliper broke, and he just slid down the track. I'm sure he had the brakes on as hard as it could go, and he just had no control. And you're right, an awful lot of fuel come out of that race car. So both drivers okay. That's the good news here at Rougemont, as we have had a very spectacular crash in the closing stages. We were in the final shootout here, and Jimmy Cope made it through this accident, but right behind him, Melee.
Well, Rich Bickle was running extremely fast those last couple laps. Seemed like his tires were coming on really strong. He was going fast. He just, you know, he had to make a move. He had to do something. He just misjudged ever so slightly. But at the speeds they're running, once he ran in to the back of him, it just, you know, they both went into the fence, and you're absolutely right. There was no control. There was no brakes. There was no nothing.
As the cleanup continues, we'll take a commercial break and be right back to Orange County. Well, folks, it's been a wild and woolly finish here to the Cape Canaveral 200, and Rick DeBrule is down in the victory circle with Jimmy Cope.
Well, Jimmy Cope, what a race. We got to talk about those last few laps. You duking out with Dick Anderson and Rich Bickle.
I'll tell you, that caution there, I don't know, the last caution hurt me bad, but the one before that, we had a little green there. This car just came to me like it was unbelievable, you know. I just can't say enough about my guys and Miller Beer and McDonough Plumbing, all the people involved here, because it's a heck of a team. That's 2 in a row, and you know, we're on a roll right now. We just hope we can keep it going.
Let's talk about the race. You sort of slowly stayed up there. You managed to stay out of trouble. How hard was that today?
There's a couple times there that, you know, I thought I was collected and didn't. I guess, you know, good Lord be with me that we didn't get in it. And told my guys we can stay on the lead lap and just stay towards the front. At the end, I think we'd have a good race car. We ran yesterday, the day before yesterday, it was raining out. Long greens, we were pretty good, but on a short green in qualifying, we stunk. But I told them, I said, as long as we can get some long greens and a couple cautions and cooler tires, we'll be in good shape. And, you know, again, thanks to my guys and Miller Beer especially, McDonough Plumbing, Bud's Poultry, Mega Power, all the people involved making this thing go.
You sound tired. Go take a rest.
Thank you, man.
Well, good job down there, Rick. Jimmy Cope winning. Once again, folks, the next Hooters Cup race will be at Lakeland, Florida, the USA International Raceway on April 26th. Well, it was an awfully big hit for Dick Anderson, and I think Rick DeBrule is standing by with him.
Well, Dick Anderson, that was one heck of a race, but let's talk about that lap right there. What happened?
Bickle got in my left rear and turned me around. It's that simple.
Nothing you could do. Now, you guys have been duking it out right up to the very end there. Could you feel something coming? Did you know it was going to get that tight?
Now, I ain't got eyes in the back of my head. He stuck his nose under there and never backed up.
You okay?
I think so.
Well, Dick Anderson obviously very disappointed in the race results. Freddie Query will hold on to the point lead here, 839. Now, look at this. Jimmy Cope has moved up to within 45 points of Query. There was 120 points separating them coming into today's race.
All right, let's talk about this race. It kind of came to you at the very end.
Yeah, it did. We had a good car all day in practice. Wasn't the fastest car, but we knew we had a race car that could race here, could run consistent laps. It was, you know, we made an early, you know, Russ Light, my car owner and the Grand Motorsports, made an early call that we should come in and take tires earlier since we started so far back, and end up paid off because all the good, you know, all the leaders pitted later on and gained track position.
Half the battle today, I thought, was just staying out of trouble.
Yeah, definitely it was. I mean, that was a chore just to avoid all the incidents out there. You know, the car worked great. It's a good, stable car, and that makes it easy to do.
Ronnie Burkett with his best run of the year, finishing second here to Jimmy Cope. He and Scott Wimmer have a good rookie battle going. Billy Bigley finishing third. Mario Goslin with a top 5 run, and Tony Walls will be posted as 5th. Well, $12,000 going to Jimmy Cope and the Miller Lite Chevrolet team. Good run for him there, and he also gets to go to victory lane with the Hooters girls. And here is Billy Bigley.
Billy Bigley, we got to talk about just how competitive this race was today. I mean, there were people duking it out big time.
Yeah, it really was, Rick. I mean, it was one of those things where you just kind of had to keep your eyes all around the racetrack. I mean, we had spotters and stuff all over the racetrack. My dad spotted for me and did a fantastic job. It was very competitive. It was dicing up. It was rubbing fenders. It was good, hard racing, and I'm glad that we could bring it to Orange County. The Budweiser Royal Purple Chevrolet, it ran real well at the beginning, got a little bit loose. We come in and pitted a little bit short so that we could get some track position. It helped. Then the car picked up a little push, so I had to change my line, and they were kind of coaching me in the car what I needed to do. And we kind of missed that last lap deal and finished third.
Consistency did it last year. You may have it again this year.
Yeah, we'd also like to win a race once in a while. I mean, we haven't won one yet, but we've been in the top 5, quite a bit of time. Last year is what put us in, to win a championship. And consistency so far has worked our favor so far this year. Let's just hope we can keep it up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry, I don't think it's long before we're going to see Billy Bigley win a race. He finishes 3rd today at Orange County, had a 4th at Mobile, 2nd at New Smyrna. He has been very close.
Well, he started 24th here today. I mean, he came from a long way back, as well as Ronnie Burkett. He started in 20th, so both those guys came a long way towards the front. They were very, very patient. Here we take a look at the rest of the field, the rest of the rundown. A lot of these guys had trouble early in the race that were down in these positions, and Freddie Query obviously made it halfway and still had big trouble and ended up in the pit area.
Well, once again, only 17 cars running at the finish, but it was a wild one here at Orange County, and we'll be right back. Today's running of the Cape Canaveral 200 has been brought to you by Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. And by Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. If you've got regular barbecue, you ain't got Jack. And by Naturally Fresh Pure Spring Mountain Water. It's delightfully refreshing.
Welcome back to Orange County Speedway, and here you can see that the fast qualifier was Freddie Query, Rich Bickle, the halfway leader, and the top rookie finisher, Ronnie Burkett. All of those guys will get $1,000 for their efforts, and the Hard Charger Award, Burkett and Bigley will split that, and they both deserved it.
Taking home $500 each is Bigley and Burkett, and they had to come a long way from the back of the field, and on a racetrack like this, with 31 cars, that's a tough job out there. Well, it's been an exciting race. Certainly hope you've enjoyed today's Hooters Cup racing from Orange County Speedway. A lot of action early on in the race as Mike Garvey in the Coors Light car slammed the wall hard over in turn 1. And I'll tell you what, Larry, that was a tough shot.
Yes, it certainly was. He got into that front straightaway fence. It bent the throttle, bit something in the mechanism that just held the throttle wide open. As we see it again, it doesn't look like that tough a hit, but boy, once he got on the brakes, the car would not turn. It hit hard with the right front. And of course, once he hit, man, oh man, he was just hanging on for dear life.
You know, we talk about qualifying at this racetrack at 98 miles an hour. Coming down that front straightaway, they're doing about 110, and that's fast on a 3/8 mile racetrack.
Well, if you've never had the sensation of having a throttle stick at 100 miles an hour, the first thing you do is you jam on the brakes. The minute you jam on the brakes, the car will not turn. And that's exactly what happened to him. He went straight into the fence. And of course, Kenseth back there, he got in some oil that came obviously off of his car, and he went into the fence too. So both those guys taking tremendous hits.
Tough break for him. Again, your final results: Jimmy Cope, the winner; Ronnie Burkett, second; then it's Bigley, Goslin, and Tony Walls rounding out the top 5 today in the Cape Canaveral 200.
Well, the fans certainly got their money's worth. Thumbs up all around, as it was a terrific race. Let's go back and take a look at the end of this race when all of these guys up front were banging on Cope so hard. Bickle and Anderson and Walls all had a terrific chance to win this race, but Cope had a wide race car. He didn't really block anybody. He just drove that thing in every groove that he should have driven it in at the right time.
Well, we've picked a race up here at lap 183. That's with 17 laps to go, and things are really getting interesting at this point. You see Marty Lindley now heading to the pit area. It might have been a good idea if he'd have just stayed there, but that wasn't the case. Here is Cope on the inside, and Rich Bickle is working him every way he can, taking a look to the outside, and now lap traffic again becomes a part of this race.
And of course, at this point, Tony Walls is the one who has passed about 4 or 5 cars in the last 15 laps. He seemed to be the logical guy that was going to move through there and get around everybody. But once he got to Bickle and Cope, it got a whole lot tougher. Anytime you get to the front of the pack, it's going to get tougher.
Especially with this group of drivers here. Jimmy Cope in the front, then Rich Bickle there in number 45. Here comes Tony Walls to the inside. He takes a look, and I think his car is working a little bit better on that inside line, and he decides that's the route he's going to take for the rest of the race. But here comes Anderson. Anderson takes a look to the inside in the Castrol number 96.
Well, I think everybody was being told that Walls was working that bottom groove ever so well. So Anderson decided to try it. Bickle seems to be working better on the top and pretty much has the whole race. He's run around that top and worked very, very well. But look at Tony Walls right down on the white part of the racetrack. No rubber at all. But, boy, he just can't make it work because Bickle has that top groove working so well, whereas everybody else seems to be working better right in the middle of the racetrack.
I think it's interesting, Larry, to go back to the top of the show when we talked to some of the drivers, and they said, yeah, you can race 2 wide on this track, but you definitely don't want to go 3 wide. And I'll tell you what, I really like this little racetrack. It's a 3/8 mile, but they put on a whale of a show today. Now here gets Bickle a little bit sideways. He backs out of the throttle. Anderson moves to second place, and Tony Walls now gets relegated back, but he makes contact there with Bickle as they slide off turn 4, and now he's out of the picture.
See, what happened there was Bickle was down farther on the racetrack. Walls didn't have enough room to slide up where he had been before. And once he got up there, his front end touched it, then he got sideways, and you're right. He got the tires heated up, plus he just lost a lot of momentum, and other cars went around.
Now we're inside 10 laps to go at this point of the race, and Rich Bickle's saying to himself, look, I had a car that could win, and now I've dropped back about 4 car lengths. I've got to put the hammer down, and he does just that. He makes the move and comes right back up, but it appears at this point Anderson's in the catbird seat. His car is very fast, and Bickle has to go to the outside.
Well, see what Cope is doing. He's driving very smart. He's running in low, he's drifting up a little bit right in the middle, and then he's running off low. So you really can't run around, turn around underneath him all the way, and you can't run around all the way around the top. So he's using up a lot of racetrack. Now that time, he saw cars in his mirrors that were low on the racetrack, so he ran a lot lower line. He ran a smart race.
And contact once again between Bickle and Anderson. Bickle put the right front on Anderson's left rear. So that was one of the first times we saw him make contact inside the last 10 laps. Bickle, at this point, I got to believe, is getting a little bit frustrated. He knows he's got a fast car, and he thinks he can win the race.
Well, I have to agree. I think he probably has the fastest race car out there, especially when he can get it up in that top groove. That's the one that he likes. That's the one he's fastest in. But right now, those other cars in front of him are just using enough of that top groove that he can't run all the way around the corner up there.
For the last 5 laps, we haven't seen anything from Tony Walls. He's dropped off the pace now, and the reason is, as we're about to see, he was the reason for this yellow that set up the 5-lap shootout.
Right. He had fallen back. I think the tires were overheated once he got back there, because remember, 2 or 3 corners in a row, he got real sideways, and he was just trying to struggle back there. He actually was probably wanting to yellow, but he wasn't wanting himself to be the cause of it, believe me.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Tony Walls brings out the yellow as he and Bigley made contact when he had to slow coming off at turn 4.
Here we're going to see the restart. We're fast forwarding past this yellow flag. We're going to see the restart. Cope got another good start, as most of the guys up front have. Got up to about a car length lead going in, but right away dropped right to the bottom to protect. Bickle did just exactly the opposite of what we thought he would do. He drops right to the bottom of the racetrack because everybody else has moved up a little bit, hoping he could make some time up down there.
Now, in this point of the race, there's 3 laps to go. It's time to let it all hang out.
Well, it certainly is, and that's exactly what Bickle did. He figured out they weren't going to let him use that top groove where he felt he was fastest, so he was going to go somewhere else. Anderson has moved up above where Cope is running, and now that he moves down to the bottom as Cope slipped up a little bit. Bickle was just going for any place the other 2 guys weren't.
2 laps to go in this race right now. They're going to come around for the white flag this time. Here comes Rich Bickle. He has to make his move. Jimmy Cope's Miller Lite Chevrolet is very fast, and contact between Bickle and Anderson, and they slide into the wall. Anderson has no brakes, goes down the racetrack, and a very hard impact from Marty Lindley in the red and white car, and a major fire breaks out.
You got to give a lot of credit to the rest of those drivers in that line. They all missed it, and every one of those guys could have very easily ended up right in the middle of that crash. They all did a terrific job to miss what turned out to be a terrible accident.
Well, and again, the important thing to remember is you can replace race cars, but not race car drivers, and both of them got out of the car with no problem.
I gotta say, the last 5 laps were incredible racing. Let's talk about that last lap, though.
Well, I tried to get back on the outside of the 1 car and restart with about 40 to 30 to go. I got in turn 1, hit some oil and lost it, and the 1 car got back by me. We were putting a good race on, and I kept getting the outside of him. He kept running me up in the wall, and I got down underneath him going into 1. He kind of chopped me off there and got me sideways. And then the 92 car got me outside of me, and or got by me, and I tried to get back by him, and I tried to set him up going the outside, going to 3, and as I was beside him, he run me up in the oil dry, so I shot underneath him, and he run me down the grass here. That's the 3rd time in about 4 races me and him had a problem. And unfortunately, that this will be the last time that's going to happen, because that ain't racing to me. I mean, we're putting a good show on and have a fortunate situation like that to happen at the end. But Terminal Truck and Chevrolet ran good today for the guys. You know, we only run this deal once in a great while, and I hate tearing the stuff up. You know, it's just Gene's car, and I just hate tearing it up. But fortunately, some guys don't like racing like I do, and they always wreck you.
Well, one thing's for sure, you don't have to worry about what's on his mind, because he's going to tell you. He's not bashed for one bit, and you know exactly how he feels that accident happened.
Well, after the accident, you see Anderson and Bickle posted back in 7th and 8th position in the final rundown. You can look where your favorite driver is there while I get a final comment from Larry Rice.
Well, you know, this racetrack is really a racy racetrack. When you got 2 or 3 grooves, it makes the racing neat, it makes it fun, and I think most of the guys, even though there's some hard feelings, they got to be happy when they can race guys side by side like they can here.
Well, it was a good race today, and we certainly hope you enjoyed yourself here on ESPN2. It's the USAR Hooters Cup Series, and we'll be bringing you 15 more events throughout the season. Thanks a lot to Rick DeBrule, who did a great job down in the pits. For Larry Rice, I'm Ray Dunlap. We'll see you next time at the races.